Hi, I just wanted to talk to you guys. I'm just getting ready and to go out, and I thought I'd like to talk to you guys about something that I did last weekend. So last weekend, I did something that I'd always wanted to do. I went to somewhere where you get yourself regressed and they go into like past lives. And I did a video last year about past lives. And anyway, I'm just going to do some makeup at the same time. So I went along and there were 6 of us in a room. This really lovely lady, she was really nice, calm lady. It wasn't a one-to-one, it was like a group one. Never been there before. Was really nervous, but it was really interesting. Well, she made us feel really calm, the lady, and we sat down. And first of all, she started off by sort of doing a meditation with us and talking about, you know, reincarnation and also, you know, like I said to her, I feel like it could have been taken out of the Bible, you know, because reincarnation is actually in the Bible, but we're told that it's not the right thing to do. The reason why I say that is because Elijah was meant to come back and Moses in the Bible, and they'd gone up. And people that believe in reincarnation don't actually believe that you die. They believe that you check out. That was the words that she used. Okay, so we're sat there and she takes us through this meditation, like, and we're all sat in the chair and it feels absolutely fine. And I mean, when I say that she regressed us, I mean, we didn't go deep into like you see on TV. It wasn't like that. It was like we could still get up and walk out anytime we wanted. She also, which was amazing, she also, sorry, go on then. She also was saying something that I remember. She said, have you ever remembered, you know, in your childhood when someone says, oh, or anytime, not just your childhood, but when someone says, oh, someone just walked over my grave, right? Well, I've heard that a lot. Someone just walked over my grave. So if someone has just walked over your grave, wouldn't that mean that you've already lived before? You know? So that was interesting. And also in the Catholic Bible, there's 73 books. And in the Protestant Bible, there's 66, I want to say. So they took out a lot of the Bible. And like in the time of, I think it's King James, yeah? That was when they had all the witch trials and all that. At that particular time, you know, the Bible was changed, words were changed and all that. Anyway, getting back to this. And she went through some scientific stuff, you know, about, you know, us reincarnating onto Earth as a different soul and all that. And about like children, you must have seen those stories, you know, when children have come back. And there's been some, you know, lots of stories. I watch this channel called Weird World. And if you go on there, you can see lots of reincarnation stories of adults and stuff. So it's really quite interesting. Anyway, I think it's Matthew. In Matthew, yeah, it talks about, it's, I think it's Matthew, I'm just trying to think of the actual, I probably won't be able to remember now. So I just think they took a lot, Matthew 17:10, it talks about, it says that Elijah must come back and the 2 witnesses, it's all about the 2 witnesses in the Bible. So if we were all checking out and coming, and then there was also a Christian called Origin. That's weird, his name was Origin, isn't that? Origin, the origins, yeah. An early Christian who believed souls exist in heaven before coming back to earth. But that doctrine was taken out of the Bible in the 5th AD 553. Another big advocate from nowadays that's really into reincarnation is Shirley MacLaine. She talks about it a lot, and with Oprah Winfrey. So the Bible has been changed a lot to what it really was. I mean, if there's 73 books in the Catholic and 66 books in the Protestant Bible, then obviously it has been changed. And I think they changed it to control people with it. Opiates for the masses, that's what I personally think. Anyway, getting back to my experience. So I'm in the chair and you know, I'm feeling like really relaxed, which is hard in this world at the moment to feel relaxed anywhere. and I sort of, you know, start to see things in my head. I'm going to talk about what I saw, yeah. So I first of all, I saw like a man because we had to open this door, and I saw like this turquoise door. So opened the door, right, and I went, you know, I was obviously in the meditation thing, and I opened the door. But I was a man, and I had like black hair, in a kind of ponytailish type style. I don't know if that was the style of that time or whatever. And I ended up in what I thought was Tuscany in Italy in the 14th century. Okay, now when I got into Tuscany in the 14th century, I was seeing things, like just brief things, and I thought, I said to her afterwards, am I making things up, you know, like, because I'm seeing these pictures in my head, and am I just sort of making stories up with the pictures in my head? And she said, so, well, you wouldn't make that up, because this, what I did see, which was really weird. So I'm in Tuscany in my head with my hair, black hair in a ponytail, and I meet this woman, and I think this woman's my wife, and she's got one of those medieval hats that sort of goes up like that. And she's my wife in this reincarnation, yeah. So she's my wife, she looks very much like someone I know on earth. I'm not going to say who, and so, but she does. And they say that they do. They say that there's a certain amount of people that you meet that look like people that you know here, now on this plane as we're in it now. Anyway, so yeah. But then there was also, I found that there was like this place where these people were being treated really badly, yeah. And I had this strong feeling that although I'd got children with this woman, that I'd had a child with one of these people who looked really kind of, they've been abused, whipped and everything, right? And they weren't dressed properly. They were half clothed. And I vividly saw this sort of girl who also looks like someone in my life now, which I'm not going to say on here. Anyway, so in my dream and in my vision, I felt guilty. I felt this terrible, terrible guilt. And I realised that this girl in the dream was actually pregnant, and that I'd actually you know, denied that I was the father, because obviously I was married to this other woman, you know, the woman with the big. Anyway, and I think I carried this guilt, you know, all through that life, in that life. Anyway, and that was the end of that life. Yeah, and then we came round. So when I got home, I said to her, you know, is this just my imagination or whatever? Anyway, so I went home, and when I got home, I researched the time period that was given to me in my mind, and there were Jewish slaves there that were raped, and in the 14th century, and I just had a massive cold shiver, you know. Not saying that I actually raped this girl in my previous life, or whether I'd had an affair with somebody like her or something, but it just really made me feel, and everything that I'd seen in my sort of mind meditation dream state, I saw. Now, I couldn't give you any names, although I did have a name that sort of came up later on, Claire, which isn't very Italian, is it? So I don't know if that's a name that they used in those days, but I just had this name Claire. I thought that was quite British, but yeah, that just came to me. Anyway, we then regressed again for our second life. And the second life, I was in, I think it was in France in the turn of the century. I could see myself, had blonde hair, like curly blonde hair, and I had like the dress of that period. Again, I don't have any real names to give you for that one. All I can say is that I think my father was trying to make me marry some who I didn't want to marry, and there was somebody else that I wanted to marry, and I had to tell them that I couldn't marry them because otherwise I was going to be dishonoured in the family, and I wasn't going to be able to, you know, my family would disown me. And obviously I was from quite a wealthy family in this dream, and the person that I liked, I've seen this person in this life as well, I know this person in this life as well. I couldn't marry that person because they weren't of my standard financially. And I ended up having to marry this old man. Now, this old man died, and I actually see the coffin. I saw the wooden coffin, and the door that I went through was a big wooden door with like black, and that's kind of how I imagine, like a big black handle and stuff. It's sort of French. Anyway, and then I went on to another vision of myself where I was just in this black sort of like time, you know, what they wore in those times, early 20th century. I was in black, and I was very unhappy, and I was just painting pictures. So I think I was completely alone. And that's when the dream ended. And I haven't even looked up that to see if any of the things that I saw in that dream, to see whether they were true or not. But I honestly found it absolutely fascinating. And there are some people you can look up if you're interested in reincarnation. Brian Wise, Ian Stevenson, they were like the forerunners. Brian Wise wrote a lot of books about this. And the great thing about it all, which people don't maybe, you know, haven't thought of, is that this can actually help you with things that are going on with your life now. Like, for instance, you might have a fear of something, and being regressed to your past lives might explain some things to you. I mean, I felt like it explained a couple of things of how I felt about things. And I know that I probably have a lot more past lives than what I've seen. I think this was just a taster session, you know, and you can actually go and have a one-to-one with people, and they can regress you. And it can also help you with phobias and fears. So I'm really glad that I did it. Thanks for listening, sharing my experience with me today. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. And yeah, just be open-minded, I think. You know, it's I feel at this particular time that I'm just becoming more and more open-minded and kind of spiritually aware. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day, and speak to you all soon.